Hey guys, and welcome back to the latest installment of At the Office. I'm your host, Simone. I'm here today with Anthony and Warren. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Great,
Good as can be. Good as can be.
Awesome. We got a lot to talk about today, so let's go ahead and just jump right in. Saturday, football fans across the country were in disbelief about the news of Andrew Luck retiring from football. Fans found out via social media during a preseason game. Luck was booed while leaving the game. Later, he addressed reporters saying he lost the joy of playing the sport due to constant injury. Are you guys surprised with all this? Anthony, we'll start with you.
Yes and no. It was shocking to just everybody that was a football fan or just a sports fan, just in general. But when you really take a step back and you think about it, I'm not surprised. I mean, this man has been just ridden with injuries, and we're not talking about the same nagging injury over 4 years. We're talking about different parts of your body injuries. I mean, from his head to his calf, this dude has had every injury that you can. Well, not every injury you can really think of, but from head to toe, he's really had injuries over the last 4 years, dealing with rehab. You know, that by itself is just a long road depending on what the injury is. I mean, if you look back, 2015, he had a strained shoulder. He went ahead and came back, and in the same year went ahead and had a lacerated kidney and pulled an abdominal muscle. You know, and he was out for almost a year. You know, he had torn a rib, I want to say, in 2016. And he had like a rib cartilage that was on there as well, and he was almost out for a whole year at that point. So when you really think about it, you know, he had this latest injury back in, I think it was March of this year.
Right.
And they had said it was just something minor. He really wasn't too worried about it because he was practicing. He was participating in OTAs. And he had just came out and first said it was a little minor thing that was bothering him, and then came out just recently and said, you know, it was a calf muscle. He didn't know how long it was going to be or what was going to go on. And if you really look at his interview he did after he basically was leaked that he was going to retire, his whole... It's just it was really, for me, it was really hard to watch because you sat there and you seen a man who was doing something that was really hard for him.
Right.
You know, he loved the game of football, but to over a 4-year span have to deal with all these injuries and all these rehabs, because what a lot of people don't realize is that you don't see Monday through Friday, Monday through Sunday, what these guys really go to when it comes to time to rehab. You know, I had an injury in high school, and I couldn't get cleared until I went to physical therapy, and they wouldn't let me play until my physical therapist went ahead and cleared me, and that was just for one minor injury. You know, and for me that was frustrating. You know, granted I'm a kid, but just imagine being a grown man and you are dealing with rehab, injury, you come back and it's injury, and then it's rehab again, and then you're out for a whole nother year. I truly believe that they had told him that this leg injury that he had was going to be a whole lot more impactful than what they initially had diagnosed him with.
Right.
You know, so I mean, for me, I respect what he did. I was surprised by initially hearing it, but like I said, once you go ahead and you hear and you really think about what this man's been through, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I know. I mean, for one, I was very shocked. You know, most of my friends that are close to me and know me, they know that I'm a big fan of Andrew Luck. Just going through the years, I mean, I remember coming out of high school. He was one of the top kids coming out of high school, 5-star quarterback, all-world quarterback, you know. Ultra smart, you know. Went to school at Stanford, played under Jim Harbaugh, had an amazing career at Stanford. I remember his last game in the Orange Bowl. I forget who they beat, but I mean he played an amazing game. The kid was, you know, a once in a generational talent. You know, when they projected him out of Stanford, like he was the next Peyton Manning. He was the next Joe Montana. He was the next.
They were comparing him
Yeah.
to John Elway.
Correct.
They were calling him.
Correct.
He was the next John Elway.
Yeah, he was. His name was put in lights next to John Elway. So, and then now we're here to where he retires. You know, at this age, the age of 29, like I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Like. I'm like I said, I was a big fan of the guy. Like I was looking forward to see the type of season that he had this year. I mean, last year he came on strong. Like after missing a year, I mean, the type of year he put on last year, what he displayed was, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, we'll see what Le'Veon Bell does this year. I mean, Le'Veon, you know, he was the other player that sat out one year. We don't know what type of year he's going to have, but I mean, if what Andrew Luck did was the precedent, I mean, it's going to be a tall task for Le'Veon Bell, but. I'm just shocked, and I think from this point, you know, the conversation now goes towards, will he be back? You know, will he come back? Will he ever play again? Because I think that's where the conversation is with Gronk as well. I hope he gets healthy. You know, the guy's been through a lot. You know, the Colts didn't do him no favors. His offensive line was no good. He had a patched up O-line. You know, so. I mean, if that's your franchise quarterback, you got to invest in him. You got to protect him. You got to give him an old line that's going to get him through these bumps and bruises. So, I hope for one he gets healthy. That's what I hope he gets healthy. I don't want to see him retire. I'm being selfish. You know, I love watching him play. I think he has a lot left to show us. I think he's. I can't really project him to Hall of Fame yet. I need to see him win a game, win a championship, win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, in the playoffs, he's 4-4.
Right.
He's 4-4. So I mean, in order to go ahead and put up those Hall of Fame numbers, he's going to have a season like he had last year.
Correct.
Multiple seasons, and even if he doesn't hit that championship mark, like my hopes are the same. Is that I feel good that there is a really good chance that he's going to come back. Give him a year. I'm hoping by this time next year we hear whispers at least of, hey, he's been working out.
Right.
You know, he's doing whatever he's doing. You know, because a year away from something, you know, can make you miss it. You know, like you mentioned Gronk. Gronk had that interview the other day and just recently and said, you know, I missed that fire in my belly.
Yeah, he left the door open.
Yeah, he left the door open. He didn't say one way or another.
Right.
Right. But the thing that troubles me the most when it comes to this whole situation is how he was exited. Mm-hmm. You know, how the fans in the stands really went ahead and they just it was, to me, I feel like disgusting's too hard of a word, but it's almost in that realm.
Correct.
For you to go ahead, because this man is retiring and he wants to go ahead and for his health, his mental health, his physical health, and he wants to go ahead and be able to spend the later part of his years because he just got recently married. And if I remember right, he either is about to have a kid or he has a kid.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, you have family priorities over anything else,
right.
as a man,
right?
You know,
right.
So for him to get booed and everything he's done for that franchise, you know, it to me it was lower level.
Yeah, it was uncalled for, and it was a disgrace, to be honest. I mean, it was a disgrace to the fan base, and I mean, what it really reminded me of is what happened recently in NBA playoffs with Kevin Durant when he went down and. You know, the fans, they started cheering.
Oh, in Toronto.
Correct.
Yeah,
in Toronto, in the NBA Finals. It was along those lines, you know, and I mean, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to say that, you know, all Colts fans are bad fans. You know, they sell alcohol at the professional football games. So, if I had to guess, it was probably a fan that was liquored up and, you know, emotional in their feelings. And, you know, shocked like we are and disappointed in his decision, but the man didn't deserve that. You know, by any means, he didn't deserve that. I mean, you got to wish people well. I mean, especially these NFL players and what they put their body through. It's the human body wasn't put on this planet to play football.
Not every week, not week in, week out. No.
Right. And I mean, that's why the sport has the offseason that it does. I mean, football's what you only hear for about 3-4 months, you know, and then it's gone for like almost like 9-8 months. You know, so it takes a lot for these athletes, and I'm kind of close to the situation. Like seeing family play football, and what they go through, like the ice baths. Like most teams make it mandatory where after a practice, after a game, you're in the ice bath.
Yeah.
And after that, you're with the trainer. You're just sitting on the table. They're massaging your body. You're just talking to them, letting them know what's wrong. You know what I mean? And they're trying to help you heal for the next week. I mean, even for practice. So it's just, I don't know. Hearing the fans boo like that, like I said, it was a disgrace, and it's just, there's no place for it in football. No place for it in sports, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, someone was trying to go ahead and present the case of, okay, well, they may be upset because he went ahead and the fans found out through Adam Schefter, right? They found out through social media while they were still on the field, right? So I can understand from a certain point that you're disappointed, but to really go ahead and boo a man because he's going to go ahead and retire, that has to tell you something. For one, the man is 29 years old. Mm-hmm. There's been a handful of NFL greats that have retired at 29 years old.
Right.
But for you to really think that this man is just going to go ahead and just up and just leave the game because of no reason, I couldn't. Even quarterbacks that I don't like, right? I'm not the biggest fan of Matt Ryan. Mm-hmm. I never have been, but that's because I've been a Falcons fan for a very long time.
Right.
I've dealt with the chokes and the blunders and the horrible decisions in the playoffs. And not even mentioning the Super Bowl. But I as a fan, if I was at a game and Matt Ryan, I were to hear through social media that Matt Ryan went ahead and was retiring, I wouldn't boo. No, I wouldn't boo for him because that's another human being.
Yeah, yes.
And I feel like a lot of these. It was Doug Baldwin. I was watching something the other day, and Doug Baldwin had made comment about how when you're an NFL player, you get almost like a God complex. Mm-hmm. You get a God complex because you're wearing these pads, you're wearing the helmet, the way the fans treat you. And I feel as a fan, when you really are in it right then and there, you look at these guys, I'm not going to say it as a god, but you hold them to a different standard than just you walking down the street or Simone walking down the street or anybody walking down the street. Like, this is Matt Ryan or this is Andrew Luck, and I'm taking it personally.
Right.
Because he's leaving.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's still a human being when you take that step back.
Yes.
Like a lot of those people that booed, I can almost guarantee you they're not going to go ahead. If they were to go ahead and go to work and get a lacerated kidney on the job and then have a sprained shoulder, deal with the concussion, then all these other issues all from the same job, they're not going to last.
No, they're not. They're not. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's an embarrassing situation. And I mean, I hope the Colts organization can move on from it. I don't think they've addressed the booing or anything like that. But to be honest, most importantly, I just hope Andrew Luck he heals his body. If he does come back 100% and mentally 100%.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of people don't know about Andrew Luck is Andrew Luck he's not like your typical quarterback. The guy was a little quirky. He was a little different.
He's a nerd.
Yeah.
He's a nerd.
He's a Stanford kid. You know what I mean? He's super smart, but he's a little different, And I mean, you could tell, by watching his press conference, you could tell he's just not. He's cut a little different.
He has that social awkwardness, but he still is that guy that everybody likes to be around.
Correct. Correct. So like with him retiring, it surprised me, but it doesn't surprise me based off his personality, like how he was, how he interacted, But first and foremost, like I said, I want the man to get healthy. I do selfishly want to see him come back because hell of a player. I think he could be one of all-time greats. So only time will tell.
Yeah, I do. Last thing is I do appreciate what Irsay did, Jim Irsay, and I can't really say that too often. about Jim Irsay, really, but I do appreciate what he did because they ended up letting him keep over $24 million dollars and just said, here, you keep that.
Stand up. It was a stand-up move by the organization.
And what some people don't realize is that Andrew Luck really left, I want to say, upwards of $60 million on the table. And I think he only had 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
So for you to really sit there and think, okay, I'm leaving $30 million per year. Because think about it, if they were to go ahead and tell him, Andrew, look, you're not going to go ahead and play the whole rest of this season. You're not going to play till at least week 10 or 11. You're not doing nothing but rehabbing that whole time. You're going to collect an easy $30 million.
Right.
But for you to go ahead and only have to work possibly 5 weeks and just rehab the whole rest of the time and get paid $30 million?
It's a lot to walk away from. It was, because I believe at the time when he signed his deal, wasn't it I think it was like a $99 million deal, wasn't it?
It
the
was
point he signed, somewhere in those figures in that range.
Yeah, it was a major deal.
Yeah, so it's a lot to walk away from. So I mean, that tells you the severity of the situation and how serious he is about walking away. So, but it was a very stand up move by the organization by not retrieving what he has made so far. Yeah. So I'm with that.
Alrighty. The NFL has recently partnered with Jay-Z's company Rock Nation to help with entertainment and social justice issues. While Jay was greeted with open arms by some, he did receive some resistance by others. One person in particular was Dolphins wide receiver Kenny Stills and safety Eric Reed. Stills was quoted to be able to speak on it and say that we're moving past something. It didn't seem very informed. In regard to Jay-Z's comment, moving past kneeling. Warren, is Jay-Z defeating the purpose of what Colin Kaepernick started?
That, to me, I see the argument on both sides. What I think Kaepernick started has been hijacked ever since this all began. It's been hijacked by the president. It's been hijacked by NFL. It's been hijacked all through the whole time it started.
The message has been lost.
Correct.
And construed.
So, I think Cap, to me, in my opinion, he lost leverage in the whole situation when he settled. When he had the whole collusion case with the NFL, and he settled for $10 million. To me, that right there, it took a lot of weight off of his case, because if you have the NFL to where the NFL is ready to settle, I feel like expose them. Why settle? You know what I mean? Like, you're fighting a case of collusion, which I feel, in my opinion, is a tough case to prove. But if your case was that strong and the NFL came to the table as if like, okay, they have this, this, and this on us, we might as well settle. Well, here's $10 million. Cap, he blew everything he stood for. It's like you were kneeling and you pretty much cost your career, to shine a light on the whole injustice situation, with minorities and how the police are treating minorities and things like that. And you settle, it's, to me, it's you fight the fight. You know what I mean? And I feel like when he made that step and he took the money, it killed his whole stance. Now Jay-Z, I think Jay-Z is it's a money grab, to be honest. If you look at Jay-Z and where Jay-Z's at in his career today, he's not popping. Like, music is not lyrical anymore. It's more about mumble rap and beats and stuff like that. So Jay-Z's not really in the limelight like that. NFL, the Shield, it's the most popular sport in the United States. It's the untouchable Shield. So for Jay-Z to go and brand and partner up with the NFL was a money grab. It was a great move on his part, and it was a great move on the NFL's part. The NFL is kind of trying to show people that, hey, we're bridging the gap, by making this move of striking a deal with Jay-Z. Like, oh, we're bridging the gap, like we don't have no problem with Cap and what he did and, what he stood for. When reality, what I see it as is just a money grab for Jay-Z and the NFL just bridging the gap, to be honest.
So, you brought up some really good points. Now, when it comes to Jay-Z not being as relevant in music recently, you're right, but Jay-Z has made it to a position in life and in his career where he doesn't need music anymore. When you really think about it, this man has made the Forbes list. Him and Beyonce are ridiculous. I think she's worth $800 million, and he's worth over $100 million, or almost $1 billion. Not $100 million, almost $1 billion.
Crazy money.
Like crazy money.
Yeah.
So at this point, Jay-Z, I mean, rap needs Jay-Z more than Jay-Z needs rap, right?
Rap needs Jay-Z more than Jay-Z needs rap.
Yeah, you don't think so?
I think if Jay-Z died today, rap would be okay.
People are gonna cry.
I mean, people will be upset, and there'll be a whole stir about it. But look at hip hop now. I mean, Jay-Z has no hits on the radio, and hip hop is going.
But Jay-Z doesn't need those hits on the radio. If Jay-Z really look at his last album.
What was his last album?
The one remember. Story of OJ. What was the name of the? He did the tour for it.
I can't even remember. The last Jay-Z album I think of is Watch the Throne or whatever it was, the Throne. The one with Kanye. Yeah.
No,
I know he had a solo one, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, he had the solo one. Oh, I can't remember the story, but it was the story of OJ. But the whole thing was just classics. So to me, Jay-Z is not in rap because Jay-Z doesn't want to be in rap.
I can see that. I can see that.
Right, and that's what I mean when I say rap needs Jay-Z more than Jay-Z needs rap. Because if Jay-Z wanted to go ahead and make a presence, you can't tell me that there's not anybody in the rap game right now that would not love to be on Jay-Z's album or have Jay-Z be featured on theirs.
I mean, I can't disagree with that. I agree.
So the cash grab part of it is the part where I'm going to go ahead and say you're wrong because a man doesn't need to cash grab anything, right? Now, it may be more of a publicity thing, but really when you think about it, Jay-Z does do a lot for minorities, and especially the African American community. The falsely accused, like he's given up his own lawyer to go ahead and help fight cases for people that have been misrepresented or are being charged with crimes that they're not committing. Right? He has opened up a lawyer, basically a program for inner city youth to go ahead and help with law. Now, I believe with what Jay-Z was saying, because when I initially heard the comments of Jay-Z when they talked about kneeling and he said, no, we're past that, I initially was offended by it myself, because when you hear that, it is almost a jab or a backhanded compliment to Kaepernick, right? But really, when you take that step back and you look at it as, okay, we're moving past that. Like Cap started the focus on injustices.
Correct.
That limelight has now, he has done his part with the kneeling. That's what he wanted to do, right?
Correct.
Now, from when you really think about it, because I was listening to something with Eric Dyson, right? Dr. Eric Dyson. This dude knows Jay-Z back, front, and forward, right? He was making very relevant points to the fact that it's a marathon. To quote the great Nipsey Hussle, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And in a marathon, you have to go ahead and you are going to pass the baton to the next person in line. Well, Cap started the race to go ahead and shine that light on social injustice. Now, we're moving on past kneeling. Now, if you're still going to kneel to go ahead and still represent that, by all means, I support you 1,000%. But what I feel Jay-Z, and I agree with Dr. Dyson, is that you are now moving forward to the second part, and now we're moving past kneeling and we're going into a different phase of the same message, but we're going to make it more prominent and even take it to the next level.
See, I agree with that point with what Jay-Z said, that we're past kneeling. Because I believe when Cap took the money, okay, now we're past kneeling. Because I felt like he ended that. If he was still about kneeling, I think he wouldn't have took the money. That's just my opinion.
But he was suing. So at some point, I mean, no matter what you're going to do, is you're going to take that money because you're suing the NFL.
Right. But, I mean, you're suing for a purpose. I mean, if he had the NFL by the balls to the point where they felt like they had to settle.
Yeah, NFL doesn't settle like that.
So expose them. Let the world know how they were blackballing them. You know what I mean? Let's all hear it. Because I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't want to dip into too many conspiracies, but I'm pretty sure that Trump had something to do with it. He contacted Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell sent it down the chain of command. Hey.
Well, he has a lot of ties too. Now, and not to dip into a lot of conspiracies, but we'll stick with facts, right? When it comes to that man that's somehow sitting in the White House right now, he has ties to football because he tried to buy a team in the past.
Trump, correct?
Yeah. Trump tried to buy a team in the past,
Correct.
and they ended up telling him no.
Right.
So some people try to name it as a vendetta because this person sitting in office is known to hold on to grudges and be a spiteful and vengeful person.
Yes.
Right? But he's also, when you think about it, really buddy-buddy and chummy-chummy with how many owners?
I think quite a bit of them.
Quite a bit. So
right.
he's contacted Roger Goodell, but he's known and has been seen with Patriots owner Robert Kraft.
Right.
And touching base back on Kenny Stills, as Simona said earlier, is that Kenny Stills and the Dolphins owner Ross.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think he's a Michigan alum, but I know you're talking about.
He is friends with Trump too, but him and Kenny Stills just went back and forth. Because he was on the NFL team to go ahead and address injustice, racial injustice, but then he also went to a Trump charity.
Right.
And Kenny Stills called him out on it.
Right.
And
see, that's what I wish Cap would have exposed, because there was a smoking gun somewhere, and when Cap took the money, now we're left with nothing. You know what I mean? We won't know what they had on the NFL. You know what I mean? And so, to me, that's critical. You know what I mean? Like, that's critical. Like, if you're standing for something, see it through. It's like there was tons of people in the media and in the NFL that was backing this guy. They were for the movement. And when you take the money, it just stops it. And he was the face of the movement.
Yeah.
So... And me, like I said, how I'm looking at it, let's expose the NFL. And like, this could have been the situation that could have brought the NFL down. And up to this point, the NFL's been untouchable. It's bulletproof. Every year when NFL's on, it's highest ratings. Super Bowl highest ratings. So Cap had the league by the balls, and to only settle for $10 million when you probably had the smoking gun, man. Expose it.
We don't know what he had.
He had something.
He had something substantial enough. I get that, but we don't know what he really had. He could have had a little something of something, and enough to say, hey, you might as well just take this $10 million, because if not, there's outside things that we don't know about.
Correct.
So
correct.
I mean, with Cap, I've never really seen him as that sellout. Even when he took the money, because at the end of the day, what are you suing someone for? To go ahead and win, right? And you're suing for monetary value.
Well, I mean, are you suing to get your job back, or are you suing for money? I mean, because Cap still wants to play in the NFL.
You're right, but by him going ahead, you can't sue for your job back, because you're not going to force any of these owners to go ahead and sign you.
Right. I agree with that. But, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with what you're saying. But, I mean, that brings me back to why, though. Why would Jay-Z partner with the NFL? Why? For what? You know what I mean? Like, what's what's his purpose?
Yeah, what's his?
You know what I mean?
Did they have an ulterior motive?
Exactly, and I mean, all I could think of is money. To be honest, I mean, why else would you do it? Why else? Like, I mean, Kaepernick already shed a light on the whole situation that we all know is a problem in America. You know, he shed the light on it. You know, with the biggest game in America. What's Jay-Z gonna do? You know, like,
but you don't know, because Jay-Z has done so much for the minorities and for the African American community. Like, that's why I don't really like when you really go ahead and take a look into the foundations and what Jay-Z does. I mean, it was 2 years ago he was bailing out men out of jail for Christmas, just so they could go ahead and spend Christmas with their families. You know, so I mean, the man, to me, it's not a cash grab because he has more money than his great grandkids are going to be able to spend. So
Correct.
that's why I take the cash grab part out of it. Now, if it would have been maybe someone that he was once related, if it would have been Kanye, maybe it's a cash grab. Maybe it's a cash grab. There may be a good chance. But with Jay-Z and the mogul that he is, I don't see a cash grab.
Well, I mean, he's in the spotlight, and I mean, we'll see what he does with it.
Yeah, only time's going to be able to tell.
Exactly. We'll see what he does. I mean, we know Cap, you know, he stood up for what he believed in, you know, and I mean, it cost the man his career. I mean, he's an amazing talent. He should be a quarterback in the league. I mean, you can't tell me there's 30 quarterbacks in the NFL better than Cap. I mean, he's clearly getting blackballed. Clearly.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because I was actually reading an article the other day, which I had never really thought about, and it was inside the mind of grooming your replacement as a quarterback, and it was the whole Eli and New York Giants and Daniel whole situation. Mm-hmm. But they were talking about how there are multiple levels to, they called it the quarterback room, right? Because you have your journeyman quarterback, which is there to go ahead. He's the vet. Mm-hmm. He knows his days are done and gone, but he is there to help not only the new quarterback, like the rookie quarterback, but he's also there to help Eli in this situation, which is the established quarterback who's not really ready to give it up just yet, mm-hmm. but he's also there to help with their transition as well. Right. So it really put that into perspective. Why? And I'm not by any means, should Kaepernick be on a roster? Absolutely.
Right.
But when you put it in those pieces, where can you really set him at? You know, when it comes to, he's not going to be a journeyman. He's not going to help really lead a rookie and develop a rookie like Eli can with Daniel. You know, he is going to be that starting quarterback. You know,
I get your point, and I think there's another type of quarterback that's not mentioned. I think there's the patchwork quarterback that you just throw them in there, and they're there to transition you. You know, like I mean, almost if you look at Teddy Bridgewater, you know, like he had his stint in Minnesota, you know, where he was a starting quarterback, and then now he's in New Orleans, to where he's a backup, and he's kind of, it's like, okay, what are you?
May not even really be the backup.
Yeah, like he's clearly a starting quarterback in the league right now. Like yeah. Teddy Bridgewater could start somewhere in the league, but I mean, unfortunately, he's in New Orleans behind Breeze.
Well, not only that, you have Taysom coming up now.
Correct.
So, and you were looking at Taysom last year, and he was doing amazing things with his legs.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, he was almost another Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
You know, he was running it, but he was the quarterback version, the quarterback version of a Christian McCaffrey, because he had at least 3 rushing touchdowns last year.
Yeah,
and he didn't have a lot of play behind the ball.
Right, he's a weapon with his legs, most definitely.
Yeah, and he can still throw the ball, so it puts someone like Teddy in that weird position to where, okay, I'm behind one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league right now.
Right,
but then I have this new rookie that's up and coming. What are they really going to do? Because Teddy's not doing anything but wasting his years, depending on how you look at it.
Exactly.
You know, he could be another Nick Foles.
Correct. Could be. And see, I look at the Indianapolis situation. I mean, why can't Cap come in there and compete for the job? You know, I know they have. I can't think of his name
Jacoby
right now.
Brissett.
Jacoby, yeah. I know they have him there, and he's been there for a few years now, so he knows the system. They're comfortable with him, but it's like, all right, bring Cap in. You know, maybe Cap could make him better. I mean, iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean? So, I mean, bring him in. I mean, like even in Denver, I mean, you got Flacco. I mean, you're telling me you couldn't bring in Cap, and Cap couldn't beat out Flacco?
But they're not really. I think they in that article I was reading, they were highlighting the Flacco situation too as one of the guys that you're a veteran, but you're still holding on to fight for that starting position, but you are going to be transitioning. Whereas they say that that's where the Josh McCown type situation comes in, where you're there to help the existing starting quarterback help with transitioning to you're going to become a journeyman at this point.
Right.
So. With Jacoby Brissett, I was listening to something, and they were actually saying that he has taken more snaps because it was asked a question I think maybe it was Jim Irsay. Mm-hmm. They asked him, well, how well is Jacoby going with the offense? And surprisingly, they had said that he had taken more snaps during this preseason and the off season starting this year, more than I think a regular starting quarterback does with his offense during the season.
Right.
So the man, they've been prepping the man for a while.
Right. He's ready. He's ready for the role.
So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Brissett isn't ready. Then you may call out and get Cap.
Right.
But at this point, you just gave Andrew Luck. You let him walk away with $20 some million. You have some cap. You may have some cap restraints.
Yeah.
So going to go get Cap on a cap restraint, that may be where they're at right now. Let's not rush into grabbing another quarterback. Let's see how we can develop Jacoby, and let's see what Jacoby comes.
Right. I mean, but you're going to need a backup quarterback because Brissett could get hurt.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you're going to need to bring in somebody that's somewhat legitimate. And I mean, I'm not saying you got to sign him. I'm not saying that, bring him in and he's going to be a part of the team tomorrow, but work him out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Work the kid out.
Well, did you see the video he made?
Yeah, with him working out.
Yeah,
I seen the
video. Still waiting.
He's in shape. He's ready. I mean, the guy's ready to go. Like, what is it hurting? Bring him in, work him out. And I mean, to me, that just tells me, man, there's a bigger issue here. And
I agree.
Really getting blackballed.
I agree. And the thing to me, which was crazy, is the fact that that I never really looked at it about that perspective, because there's been multiple conversations you and I have had where it's like, why would they bring in and sign this dude who's washed up,
right,
and not go after Cap,
right?
But then after reading that article, you kind of stop and think like, okay, that dude really is getting brought in to go ahead and help with this transition. Right. Because with some quarterbacks, it's harder than others.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There is truth to that, but a lot of it, I feel like, in terms of the Cap situation, I feel like it's white noise. I mean, because the guy should just be on the roster, period. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of teams in situations where they don't have a franchise quarterback. They don't even have a quarterback that they're in their farm system to be their next starter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know, man.
So let me ask you. So what do you think if a team came to Cap tomorrow and said, "Hey, we want to sign you"? What do you think Cap's asking rate is going to be for a contract?
That's hard to tell. That's hard to say. I couldn't give you figures. I mean, he couldn't ask for. If I had to say something off the top of my head, at the most, he couldn't ask for. Because if I'm a team and I'm gonna sell Cap, and I'm trying to sign Cap, I'm gonna sign him for. I'm gonna give him a 1-year deal, a prove-it contract for probably like anywhere from $2 to $5 million.
But is he gonna take that?
How bad do you want to be back in the league?
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Right.
I think the more damning part to that argument is how much is he going to charge. The more damning part on the NFL side is that no one has really came out and said. I think the last team that really said that they were going to try him out was Seattle, and that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Baltimore was involved a little bit too. But
yeah.
But it's a media frenzy, and nobody wants to be part of that media frenzy. Because I mean, just think about it, dude. Like the day an NFL team signs Cap, it's going to be all over everything. It's going to be crazy.
They may wait till after election year.
Right.
When you think about it, they might.
Right. Because that's the only thing that'll quiet that noise. It's going to be a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Dwight Howard is back with the Lakers. The 8-time NBA All-Star, and the Lakers made it official just a few days ago. Sources from the Lakers say that Dwight met with Rondo, LeBron, McGee, and AD before signing to get a feel for Howard. They believe Dwight is on a redemption tour. Anthony, how are you feeling about this reunion?
It's not. I'm not bought in on it. I'm not bought in on the whole Dwight Howard going back to the Lakers situation. I believe everything that they did it as best as they can, and I understand why they signed him, right? And what we were saying last time, they need to go ahead. They need Dwight to go ahead, and they need to work out Dwight, which we found out, the next day, that they were working out him and Joakim Noah.
Right.
Like I said. But then not only that, they did bring in not only LeBron and AD, but they brought in JaVale McGee, and they also brought in Rondo to see. Now, they say that they feel like he's bought in, he's on a redemption tour. I mean, I would believe it, that he's on a redemption tour and he has something to prove, but some of the statements that he's made, I think he has something to prove for the wrong reason. I don't think he's on a redemption tour. So he's on a redemption tour to go ahead and have redeeming himself in different ways, right?
Okay.
He wants to show the NBA that, hey, I can do what I need to do. I'm still valuable as a team on a team. But there was a comment that he made which really it kind of it made me just turn my head a little bit, and that was a comment that I had read. I want to say it was on ESPN or maybe Bleacher Report that it was on their Instagram, and it was a quote that he said that I want to show Kobe that I'm not a soft ass.
Yeah, I seen that one.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, my guy, Kobe has been retired for how many years now? Kobe is not in the front office on the Lakers. Kobe's not a coach. He's not a scout. He's not a player. He's not even in the building half the time when you guys play. I doubt he's barely ever at the practices. He's too busy doing Kobe things, right? So for you to really go say, I need to prove to Kobe that I'm not soft, Kobe doesn't care if you're soft. Kobe cared that 1 year when you were there and you were soft.
Right.
So, yeah, is he on a redemption tour? Maybe, but he has too many outside variables to me that he's focusing on rather than what he should be focusing on, which is building that continuity with the team and going and gelling with the team and getting him back to where he needs to be.
Right.
Now, granted, I heard that he's dropped 25 pounds and he's looking in really good shape, but this is still a man that is coming off of back surgery. Right, the back is nothing to play with.
Right.
So my concern is that, to what your points were last week, is that you may get those flash in the pans of Dwight in his prime, but on the flip side of that can also go ahead and lead to some trouble down the road.
Which I don't think would happen because of LeBron. And I know off the record we had conversations about this. Like, if you look at most of LeBron teams, they don't really have no player wilding out acting crazy, So I think LeBron he'll police the situation. Most of the drama on LeBron-led teams are with LeBron himself, like with LeBron and Spoelstra, with LeBron and Lou and LeBron and Black, David Blatt, I believe. So it's mostly the drama centers around LeBron. I think Dwight Howard knows where he's at in his career, and he knows that this is pretty much a last chance for him. So he's going to have to put it all together, and this is his best shot at winning a ring, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, this is this is the best shot he's had even when he was in the finals.
Correct. This
is still his best chance. Now I think the Lakers did it right because he's on a no contract. He's on a no guaranteed contract. They call him like a summer contract.
Right.
Right. So he does not start to get paid until October, around the late part of October. He doesn't even start to get paid, and he's only getting paid around $14,000 a day.
Okay.
But if they go ahead and they cut him, they can cut him for any reason, and that's that. And they can finish paying him, wash their hands of him, and be done. So the Lakers did it smart. I understand why they did it the way they did it.
Most definitely.
And I understand why they went ahead and grabbed Dwight. Because if you can go ahead and get a player on a non-agreement with the potential that Dwight has,
right,
and you have that, it's not even that the Lakers are holding a tight chain on him. They're telling you, we're going to go ahead and let you show us that you can do it, but the second that you mess up, your butt's out that door.
Right.
Which is smart.
Right. It was a ceiling move, like you got 5 players in front of you and you look at your ceiling with each one. Your ceiling with Dwight is higher. Because if you get that Dwight Howard that we all know that could be, that all NBA type player on the defensive end, that stalwart in the middle, if you get that Dwight that's focused, the sky's the limit for the Lakers. In the West, it's going to be a brutal race as is. So, if you could add more horses, why not? Compared to adding Joakim Noah or Kenneth Faried, Kenneth Faried, I would have liked that signing. That would have been a good signing. Because he could bang, he could rebound, and he'll give you good minutes. But the Dwight Howard, you pretty much practically got him for nothing. You got a guy off the street for nothing, like you were saying. So, and he has that ceiling still that high. You go from DeMarcus Cousins to Joakim Noah, you're just like, man, like, did we really upgrade? Did we stay even kill or did we downgrade? In my opinion, if you go with Joakim Noah and you lose Cousins, you're downgrading because you have Dwight Howard out there that could show those flashes. And like you said, he's dropped weight. It seems like he's focused, even though Kobe's still in his head.
Yeah.
He's still worried about Kobe, and Kobe's not even a part of the organization right now. So the potential is there. If he puts it all together and he could show what he was, 5-6 years ago, that Dwight Howard, man, the Lakers are looking like a scary team, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. And another thing that they did, which I thought was really smart, is that they have almost like an injury clause, to where if he goes ahead, if he gets injured before the regular season, they only have to pay him $6,000 and they walk away.
Oh, they did it beautifully.
Yeah. So, and that's why I'm not as mad. I still see dysfunction, but I think that the Lakers went ahead and they minimized that dysfunction, because the second that they start to even smell dysfunction or any issues, they can cut ties and they're not bound to him. They're not forced to trade him or buy him out. It's okay. Here's your X amount of dollars. You played with us for 20 days. Here's your money.
Thank you. Part ways. Yeah. Wash our hands of the situation.
Yep. And the team's not affected. The team can still go ahead and bounce back. And then now we can go ahead and we can take a look and see what's really out there. If Kenneth Faried's still out there, Joakim Noah, whoever you want to go ahead and look as a big.
Right.
Right. I think with your statement of going ahead, are you looking at Cousins and are you downgrading? I think even from Cousins at that point where he was at and how he was looking when he came to the Lakers presser, he was still an overall better choice than Dwight at this point.
Which I agree on that. Where Cousins was coming off the injury, he's a better player than Dwight. But if you have a healthy Cousins, you don't even need Dwight. You don't even need Howard. Yeah. So I think it was a better move, in my opinion, than the Joakim Noah. Joakim Noah, to me, I don't see it anymore in the guy. He maybe has like 1 or 2 years left, but if I'm just gonna pick up somebody for free, pretty much.
Yeah, the contract solidified it.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, put a nice neat bow on it.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up for today. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Also hit that bell notification so you can get updated the next time we upload a video. Also check us out on all our social medias, including Instagram and Twitter. Check out our friends on Red Pill Station. And also you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Real@the Office. Thank you again for watching the latest episode, and we'll catch you in the next one.